This week in comic books, we get Dark Crisis, Warzone from DC. And like something weird happens in this book, and it happens like four times. And I kind of want to talk about it with you. Next, over in the land of Marvel, we get Thanos and Death Note. And I hate to say this, but I think I might have some speculation on this comic book versus the MCU. I don't know if it's interesting. I'm just taking some wild guesses out there, but I definitely want to tell you what's in it. And also in the land of Independence, we get Silent Night, Deadly Night. What's more holiday season than a guy that thinks he's Santa Claus and wants to punish everybody with an axe? 'Tis the season. All that, some 1 in 25 variants, and some other comic book stuff. So, real quick, let me help you out with your Christmas shopping. Check this out.
Do you like coffee, tea, or cocoa? Are you looking for a great gift idea for someone who does? Hey, it's me, Jeremy. You may recognize me from my YouTube channel, The Quartering, but I'm also the founder of Coffee Brand Coffee. We're a US-based roaster with thousands of 5-star reviews from our customers. Our customers love that we roast our coffee beans fresh to order. Plus, you won't find a fresher or more delicious coffee anywhere else. And I can promise you personally that you won't find a business that is more committed to serving our customers. Coffee not your thing? We have a dozen delicious organic teas as well as 4 decadent flavors of hot cocoa. Listen, I know with the holidays it's always tough trying to find the perfect gift for family, friends, and business partners, so we made it really easy for you. Our industry-leading custom gift box builder will make the holidays a snap. Build your own custom gift box of coffee, teas, cocos, or even dark chocolate covered espresso beans and have it delivered in a high quality, ready to gift box. We even have gift cards in case you're not totally sure what to get. With 15 different varieties of coffee, a dozen organic teas, 4 varieties of hot cocoa, and even dark chocolate covered espresso beans, I know if you give Coffee Brand Coffee a chance to earn your business, you're going to be a customer for life.
All right, you wonderful weirdos. Definitely check out Coffee Brand Coffee. So it's a new week of comic books, new comic book day, new hauls, new reads. Everything's out there. Let's jump right into it with, Dark Crisis, Warzone #1, as mentioned in the beginning. So this is weird. This is 4 stories. This is kind of a female, strong female-led storyline where the majority of your characters are going to be the women inside of this war zone that's happening, right? So think of the most apocalyptic thing, right? All the villains, everybody's just crushing and destroying things, both on Earth and in space. Everything's going crazy.
I can handle that.
And every last one of these stories, it would the characters would just randomly break off and have this kind of little bubbled conversation while everything's going on. And it was like the most weirdest stuff. It wasn't like, hey, you take him to the left, I'll flank to the right. No, it was like, so you're Barry Allen's wife. It's like it really for a moment just kind of took you out of the story. I'm not sure what these particular conversations were supposed to be about, with all this other horrific stuff going on in the entire story. Even the cover, right, shows you the chaos that the story is trying to allude to you, and then like all of a sudden it's like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm the red canary and you're the black canary, and I named myself that because I really see you as a role model. Why people are dying in the background. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be rough on it because it was a good story. There was a lot of good stuff in here. 4 major stories in here kind of rolling through. You get this new red canary, or black canary, storyline. You get, what is it, about Barry Allen's wife and Wally West's wife kind of meeting for the first time. You get the Joe, the Lantern, the Green Lantern character. You get her story in here, right? And it just seemed like it was really cool. Plus, the Themyscira, right, wants to kind of jump into this battle as a group, right? Women-led empowerment, right? Cool. But, like, just at the most weirdest time, it just stopped and they would just have this weird conversation that just didn't fit in the art and everything else that was going on.
It really doesn't matter.
For the most part, I can look past it. I kind of understand what they're doing with it, but it just seemed like it didn't fit. The very first story had to deal with Raven and Spectre, right? You may know the Spectre, and he's separated from his like human host, and they kind of came together. Nothing really weird in that story, but after that, things get kind of, I don't know. Again, read it yourself. Definitely, if you read it down below, comment down below. Did it take you out of the story, or were you kind of like jiving through it? Like, Like, did it make sense to you? I guess is what I'm asking. I'm not really sure. It didn't for me. Next, we got Batman and the Joker, the deadly duo. So, right, they're teaming up. Joker's back at the Batcave. They're trying to figure out, should we even bother bringing the Joker in on this? And Joker's all for it. He's like, yeah, let's light this candle. Let's go. Right? And we kind of get some more insight on the background of our shadowy villain in this. It's really cool. The art I really like. So yeah, we get kind of like the evil lair of our villain. He's got Harley Quinn captured. He's got Jim Gordon captured, of course, to kind of drive the motive for our two characters in this to move forward. I went with this 1 in 25 cover right here. I thought it really speaks to the story, right? I didn't want to do something outside of the story. So yeah, I really like that. That's cool. So yeah, all in all, good story. I believe that's Black, DC Black. Yeah, Black Label. So yeah, it's good stuff. Definitely check it out. That's all the DCs I got this week. Next, we're moving into Marvel. We got Thanos, Death Note. So I have something interesting. So in this, we're kind of taking Thanos from the comic books and Thanos from the movies, right? They both acted extremely different, and we're kind of merging them together in this streamline where Thanos is kind of working with Death, right? His fatuation from the comic book, right? There was a relationship there.
We all do it once in a while, but the trick is to get in and out quickly without getting involved.
And he's in the afterlife, but he's coming back, baby, because Death needs to raise up them tolls a little bit. But we get introduced to the new Infinity Stone, the black one, right? The Black Stone. I think that's interesting, and I believe that may have some connection with the MCU. As you know, Adam Warlock's coming back into it, and he's obviously from the trailers, he's got some sort of stone in his head. I think they may try to entangle this into that, and this is kind of the reference for all the comic book people, right? Because they love to throw in some comic book stuff to draw you into it. I think that's what they're going to do with this. I don't know. But we also, because we're dealing with Thanos and Death and ancient woo-woo space stuff, right? We got to throw in like an anchor. So in this, we're using Thor's grandfather, Bor.
Oh, no.
Bor's a character who's been in comic books for a while, and apparently he's not the most nicest guy out there. Like, he's kind of, like, you have the BC characters, right? He's, like, worse than that. Right? So I liked it. I thought it was a little bit, like, there was some far-reaching things there to kind of connect, the MCU and the comic book version of them. And it still doesn't really make sense. But the main point here is that Thanos is coming back. He's got an Infinity Stone now, the black one, and they're going to be moving forward. And I'm pretty sure it's going to have something to do with Death. Because Bor doesn't show up, and he's not like a good guy. He's not really a bad guy either. He's just him. I know it doesn't make sense. So definitely chase this storyline down, which we'll be picking up in the Thor run. All right, next, another 1 in 25 variant. We got Dark Web. We got that cover right there. Very busy cover. All right, a lot going on in here, but this is just more proof that clone stories just aren't that good.
Bunch of bitchy little girls.
I know that sounds bad, and I don't want to put it that way. So we have Ben Reilly, who was the clone during the Clone Saga, and now he's Chasm, right? A different person, but he's still, in this one, he's still kind of harped up on the whole, I'm basically Peter Parker, and he can take anything from me. He has this dream where he's like, Peter Parker's like, give me your mouth, face. These things are mine, right? They've taken them off of him in this dream. Very, very impactful. I'll give it that. But as we move forward in this story, I don't know. We've got a lot of characters involved in this. A lot of things just didn't make sense to me. Like, apparently the spider sense now can work on another plane. Goblin Queen's reanimating inanimate objects to be monsters in it. It was just kind of like skipping and hopping and different things, and just really wasn't jiving with me.
Should we shoot them?
Which is a shame, because like you could do so much there, and I just feel like they're missing the point to tell a more simplistic story, right? Like the fire hydrant's a monster. It's like, no. Next, something I did like. So, Tiger division. I'm liking this. And again, I may be a little biased. I've been to Korea, loved Korea. I love Korean culture. I love their history. It's very rich. And in this, it definitely highlights a lot of that. So we find out in this one, our main hero, our Korean Superman, Tai, apparently way back in the day, had a friend, and like most adolescent young men, they got into trouble and kind of rolled with the crew and did bad things.
You're a person of interest.
And eventually he got his life together and became a superhero. But what happened to his kind of straightforward friend? Well, he works for a major corporation and he's building evil robots and stuff. Ta-da! Big twist in that. And of course he doesn't want to tell his superhero counterparts about all this, right? Because nobody wants to put out their bad stuff like that, right? Like, they were stealing stuff and had no problems, but apparently they did a lot more. The flashback scenes in here really kind of help explain that, just a lost kid, trying to do the best he can and just fell in with the wrong group of people, that cliche. But it works in this. It really does, because you're taking a lot of this from the 1950s, late 1950s, that era, street urchin type stuff. So it plays. It works. I enjoyed it. Next, we got Fantastic Four. Got this beautiful cover. Boom. So, like Fantastic Four #1, all of this takes place after the events of the Baxter Building exploding in that run. And now we're finding out that everybody's kind of separated and ran off. We got Fang and Alicia. They're traveling across country. They got stuck in a time warp thing. Reed Richards and Sue Storm kind of got stuck in this little small town. Everybody's getting stuck in small towns. It's awkward. But anyway, apparently the majority of this town are Doombots that Victor Von Doom programmed back when he was but a wee lad, right? And one of them kind of focuses around an older lady that was extremely kind to Victor Von Doom back in the day, and the rest of the robots and everybody around their primary function is to protect her. However, she turns out to be a Doombot too, because the programming after she passed away just kind of took over the persona of the character. So the question is, are they bad? Are they good? Can we reprogram them? Because every time he mentioned he was Reed Richards, the robots would attack.
Most bad guys expect you to just sit there and wait for them, like those are the rules or something.
Like, it was just weird. But I liked it. I don't know why. It had this great little undertone that, yes, Victor Von Doom is a horrible individual, which we'll find out later in a whole nother comic book. But also there was somebody that showed him some kindness when he was younger and fed him and things like that. And he wanted to be sure that this person was protected forever. And even Reed Richards can understand that, something as cold and mechanical as a machine, right? Him kind of taking the emotion out of it, realizes that thing's just doing the best it can. So a little reprogramming. Done. Simplistic, but I liked it. Next, we got Ghost Rider. So this actually kind of brings up something funny, and it's something that I always mention to people, especially people that prefer to practice, if you will, in the various dark arts or wizardry or witchery or whatever you want to call it. I generally call it woo-woo. And again, I don't mean that to be offensive. I just need a general term to call all of it, because there's so much of it, right? So this kind of brings up an interesting point in here. So they talk about the roadways, right? And how the roadways have all this horror on it, like death and just all kinds of craziness on it, and all that dark energy, if you will, right? Kind of just embeds itself into the highways and byways. And just like any other highway and byway, you get these little hub zones, right? And they talked about the hub zones in here, one being, of course, one of the most haunted places in the U.S., Sahara, someplace out in the desert. Chicago, of course. That shouldn't be a surprise. As well as D.C. Okay, kind of brings those up. That's got to be in the hubs for the roads and everything, and all this dark energy and all this evil that comes out there, right? And we see Exhaust. Exhaust finally catches up. He's the negative version of Ghost Rider in this. Of course, he shows up. It's interesting the way it works. Now, the thing that I always argue is people that practice these kind of witchcraft and stuff like that, one of their main things is always this thing called a graveyard spell or hex or whatever. They use various terms for it to fit the narrative.
Are you crying?
And I can't help but laugh. I'm like, what tragedy happens in a graveyard? The tragedy, right, that has this energy, or if the spirit left the body, it wouldn't be at the graveyard. Like, graveyard's like the third stop, right? There's the place that it happened, right? The hospital you went to, the morgue that you went to, and then the funeral parlor, and then eventually it's the graveyard. So I always ask people that practice these kind of spells and stuff, I'm like, why would this energy be there? You just drop the husk there. It would be all these other places, right, where the spirit left the body. That's where the energy would be. That's just me looking at it in a very, very linear way, right? But I haven't found anybody that can actually explain that to me yet. What do you think or know about this? I know that's a weird question to ask, but it's something that's always fascinated me. What would be the holy aspect or the energy aspect of a standard graveyard? How does that work? Like, moving on. There's my rabbit hole for the day. I apologize. Next, Punisher. So I'm liking Punisher. And I know, right? They changed it to symbol. And I've said this every issue so far, and I'll continue to say it. They had to, because you're not dealing with the same Punisher in this. Ares is more of the Punisher that you're used to, and that's why he's wearing the old logo in this. The one we have now is different. He needs to be identified as different, so changing the logo does make sense in this. Hopefully it doesn't last forever. I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully this is a story that goes on. But this is a pretty simple story. This is just Ares coming to Punisher and their temple to cause that war, right? The drums of war are marching, right? They're there. They're at the doorstep. And I thought that was cool. One aspect in here, this magical woo-woo dagger got broken. And Punisher hands it to like one of his minions and then is like, hey, melt this down and make bullets out of it. And of course, if you don't know, I have another channel where I make things out of metals and woods and different materials. And I'm like, it's not how that works, but it's cool.
It matters. Tactically.
Like, it's a cool quote. So, definitely, I've been on board with this. If you haven't picked it up so far, I'd probably just, pick up a trade bag and read it online or something like that. But it's a fun story, and it's interesting, and I like it. And I like these little flashbacks we do with the wife and what Frank Castle had to go through to be where he's at now. Just this raging ball of hate, and how two gods, one that loves the aspect of just straight murder, mayhem, and just death, and then the other one that kind of deals with Ares, right? Deals with war. And even in the worst case scenario, these two things have very conflicted ideology, even though they would appear surface level the same thing.
In the 80s, the rules were the rules. They had their guys, we had our guys. It wasn't so goddamn complicated. You could get your head around it.
So I like this. This was pretty cool. I think it's smartly written. And I think it's saying more than just the story in it, which I can appreciate that. All right, moving on. Avengers Assemble Part 2. So, big battle, right? The bad guys are coming. This evil version of a Phoenix. Well, one side, your twisted type characters from Marvel, right? So we got like a Wolverine that's mixed with something else, and a Venom that's mixed with something else, and of course we'll have a Phoenix and even a Doctor Doom. All of them incorporate something else, right? The unnatural is what we'll call it, right? Whereas on the other side, you have the beginning and the current version of the superheroes that we know, right? So like Odin, Thor, right? The pure versions, right? Probably the BC being the most purest and then modified up into modern man. I think that's an interesting take.
No, that shouldn't be necessary.
I really do. I think it's a pretty cool take. I'd like this Ghost Rider from BC riding around on a mammoth. And apparently in this one, we kind of established that he is slightly different than everybody else on a scale, right?
Well, in that case, it would be necessary, so yeah.
We also find out that a lot of our BC characters are extremely more powerful than their modern counterparts in this. Especially the Phoenix, who's racing back to Earth to get into this battle because the tides are turning, right? So that she's coming back. And of course, if you don't know by now, quick spoiler, This particular Phoenix is the actual mother of Thor. I don't think they need to go that route, but it is what it is. They're just telling a story. So we'll work through it. But all in all, I love the work in here. There's sacrifice in this story. There's all the things you could possibly like at some aspect of this or not. And you're on a huge battlefield, so there's a lot going on, except for weird conversations. All right, last we have Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is good. I believe it's a sequel. Some people are saying it's part of the movie that's coming out. I'm not sure where people are getting that from. I don't know. I haven't seen any connections or anything like that.
If you can't look legit, confused works almost as well.
I did enjoy this, though. A writer who had some weird stuff happen to him in an orphanage as a kid, right? Another guy and his brother. His brother turns into a psychopath, thinks he's Santa Claus, and he wants to punish people. Should have just been making toys, but no, he's going to go punish people by putting, an axe through their head. Well, apparently, current time, current date, we have a copycat out there. Boom, right? When somebody does something that somebody else fascinates, copying generally happens. So that's happening in this. So how does this really work out? Is it one of the kids from the orphanage? Is it just some crazy guy? We also meet the original Santa, Crazy Santa. Is crazy. I think we can use crazy in this one without offending anybody. He's literally running around killing people. He's in a psych ward, tries to kill himself. That does not work out for him and just enrages him even more. One would say even woken him back up. The evil in him woke him back up. So I thought that was interesting. I like this. I like the art in it. This is from American Mythology Productions. They do some pretty cool books. I wish more of them would come out to circulation. But I really enjoyed this. All right, guys, that's my haul this week. First off, happy holidays to everybody out there. Hope you're getting all your Christmas shopping done. If you haven't, don't forget Coffee Brand Coffee. For those people that just randomly show up, you get your orders in now. You should get it in time for Christmas. Other than that, folks, I don't have anything else. I hope you all have a good day. Bye.
That went well.